Like everyone else, I miss about a zillion things during this lockdown. For me, one of them is going to Good Shepherd Fairview Home. I've been doing worship services for the residents at that retirement home for more than 20 years, and I miss doing it right now. Those people know their Bible. Early on, 20 years ago, when I wasn't quite aware of that fact, one time during a service I said, "Now today our psalm is Psalm 23. Some of you might know this by heart, and if you happen to know it, recite it along with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Well, there were about 60 of the residents there for the service that day, and every single one of them knew all of Psalm 23 by heart perfectly, and they said it with me. 20 years along, I still use Psalm 23, and the current residents still know it by heart, and I miss saying it with them. Today is the fourth Sunday of Easter, and it's always called Shepherd Sunday. The gospel text is always about Jesus, our Good Shepherd. And today's psalm is, yes, Psalm 23, the Shepherd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Now, this whole shepherd thing is a big deal in the Bible. It's an often used image of the care and protection given to the flock by the shepherd. But you know, I don't bump into shepherds very often in my everyday life. I did grow up in farm country, but it was fruit farm country along the shores of Lake Ontario, not sheep country. So, I tried an experiment one time. Years ago now, I borrowed this shepherd's crook from the Sunday school stash of Christmas pageant props. I decided to carry it around with me for a day or two to see if I could get inspired for a sermon about the Good Shepherd. It did not inspire me. It did inspire my wife to laugh at me. But eventually I did learn one thing at least. The staff was always in the way. Back at that time, I had a little purple subcompact car I was driving, and it had a stick shift. Well, this shepherd's crook didn't fit in that car very easily at all. And that's when I realized that being a shepherd is really kind of inconvenient. You know, a shepherd is always on duty, and that's what the stick is for. The curved end is for grabbing sheep, which may be wandering off into danger, and the other end can be for whacking predators. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It's all about care and protection. Well, back in Bible times, a shepherd had to be a superhero. I don't think of shepherds as superheroes today, but I do have another image that means a lot. Today's superheroes are not shepherds or even Spider-Man, Batman, or Wonder Woman. Today's superheroes are healthcare workers, nursing home staff workers, and group home staff workers. They don't wear a black mask with bat ears to protect their secret identity. They wear face masks to protect the people in their care. They don't wear spandex with spider webs or a big red S on the chest. They wear scrubs. And if you don't think they are superheroes, you need to think again. Now, all of us are watching the news these days, and it can become so depressing and so overwhelming. We need to balance it with good news. And you know, there are lots of good news websites out there on the internet. My current favorite is the SGN network. That stands for Some Good News, and it's hosted by an actor who got famous on The Office TV show. His name is John Krasinski. A couple of his episodes have had videos of healthcare workers. These are the people on the front lines. They are cheerfully serving the sick and the injured and the elderly. Many of these healthcare workers cannot go home to be with their families. They have to stay away from their own spouses or their own kids to keep them safe while continuing to serve the people who need them. I watch these videos, and I'll tell you, I started crying. Talk about superheroes. And I have to say, I've got a couple of personal connections to some of them. One of our own members is Associate Director of Nursing at Oxford Veterans Home. Her name's Pat. She's caring for those residents, and she had to isolate herself from her own family for 3 weeks. Another member of St. Mark's is working at Elizabeth Church in the activities department, and Kathy is help finding safe ways to give residents enjoyable activities to do and some peace of mind, all while keeping them safe. Then there are the workers in group homes for people with special needs. There are dozens of such homes in our own county. My daughter lives in one of them. Can you imagine how deeply grateful my wife and I feel about these superheroes who are taking care of our often difficult daughter and people like her? Not all superheroes wear capes or carry shepherd's crooks, but these days they all seem to wear masks, wash their hands, and offer compassionate care. And think of all the other people just doing their ordinary jobs with the public to keep the world going. So how do we celebrate Shepherd Sunday? I say we imitate those superheroes like we would imitate Jesus. You too can be a shepherd. Don't carry a shepherd's staff around with you. People will laugh at you, and you may be tempted to whack them with it. But carry a shepherd's staff in your heart, the way some people wear a cross around their neck. You really are a shepherd, you see. There are people for you to care for. There are animals for you to care for. There is all of creation for you to care for. Yes, we have to maintain some physical distancing for now, but there are ways to care. You know that. I'm sure you can think of some. The only limits are the size of your imagination and the size of your heart. Jesus is not only our good shepherd, he is also a heart surgeon. He wants to give us a new heart, to replace our hearts of stone with a heart of a shepherd. A shepherd's heart is big enough to hold all kinds of people, even our enemies, Jesus says. A shepherd's heart is big enough to care for our neighbors, even the ones who are hard to like. A shepherd's heart is big enough to continue the work of our good shepherd in this world. So let's start a different kind of pandemic, a good one. Let's continue to make care and compassion and kindness contagious. Sure, it'll be inconvenient. Sure, it's a challenge. But think of all those superheroes who are showing us the way.